Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I am back to tell you why I think Alolan Muk is going to be amazing after rotation. Now, if you're getting deja vu, do not be scared, ladies and gentlemen. It was about 9 months ago that I made a video telling you I believe more people should be playing Alolan Muk. That was last format, and although I believe that it should have seen more play, it didn't see the love I was expecting. Now, there was a short period of time in the expanded format where Zoroark with Muk did end up being really good, countering mirror matches where everyone was playing Execute and taking away stuff like Shaman and Tapu Lele, which were giving these speed engines in the expanded format. Alolan Muk had a bit of love this past season, but it didn't have very much. Now, over on Twitter at the Wassy, I don't always respond to every tweet, but I get every tweet, and every so often one piques my interest. And the lovely ADV GYM tweeted at me, why Alolan Muk will be the most impactful card post-rotation. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I think this dude's got a point. Because Alolan Muk, I thought it should have been played more last season, or I suppose the season we're just finishing. And I thought it was a very good card in that season. But I think it's about to get even better. And there's several reasons for this. But let's start off with one of the most obvious reasons. Garbodor's rotating. So at the moment, one of the big reasons why we don't see more Alolan Muk is because you can just play Garbodor. They're both stage 1 Pokemon that block abilities. Now, admittedly, Alolan Muk's ability only blocks basic Pokemon from having abilities, whereas Garbodor blocks every Pokemon from having abilities. Now, Garbodor's got to have a tool attached, most of the time it's Float Stone, and even though it's got to have a tool attached, and even though having a tool attached means that your opponent can just play a Field Blower to turn on their abilities during their turn, the fact that you can turn off all abilities rather than just those from basics has led the majority of the player base to go, you know what, it's worth the risk, I'd rather play Garbodor. But as of September the 1st, we're heading into a Sun and Moon on rotation. Garbodor will no longer be an option. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is opening the door for Alolan Muk. So the question is it actually going to be good enough? Or is it just, even without Garbodor, going to be a little bit too weak? Well, one of the biggest things that's happening post-rotation is we're losing Octillery. We had this weird thing a couple years ago where some players would try using Octillery rather than Shaman, and the rest of the player base would roundly mock them for being stupid because Octillery's nowhere near as good as Shaman. Well, Shaman stopped seeing play when Tapu Lele was released. Not entirely, but it took a huge dip in play. Octillery has been a staple of the last year, even though Shaman really hasn't seen that much play. Certainly in Expanded, there's an argument for Octillery's been a better card than Shaman, and all the people that mocked the Octillery players have seen that actually Octillery's got legs. Tentacles. Well, Octillery's going away, which means we're not going to be able to use Abyssal Hand to draw until we've got 5 cards in hand. That's alright, we've got Oranguru. Now, it's only drawing until you've got 3 cards in hand, but it's a basic Pokemon, meaning you can use it earlier, you don't have to evolve, it takes up fewer space in your deck, you're unlikely to have it prized compared to one of the 2 Octillery bits being prized, so actually there's a lot of advantages. And it's a basic Pokemon. So certainly, as soon as we hit rotation, the second that rotation hits, the main consistency engines we are going to have are Oranguru and Tapu Lele. Now, there's a big argument that a lot of people are going to be playing Magcargo post-rotation, because you get to search your deck for any card and put it on top of your deck, but Magcargo becomes better if you can draw a card. How do you draw a card? You use Oranguru. Because we're not going to have Professor Sycamore post-rotation, which basically means all of the best draw cards, whether you're using Copycat, whether you're using Tate and Liza, whether you're using Cynthia, and I did do a video about the post-rotation supporters, I'll pop a link in the description. No matter which one you're using here, they're all shuffle draw. So you're going to need a way to draw cards. And if you can get down to 2 cards in your hand, then a Rangaroo Magcargo becomes an amazing combination. Maybe you end up using something like Ludicolo, but that's a stage 2. I mean, some players are clearly going to be using Zoroark, but not everyone is going to be playing a Zoroark-focused deck, and that makes a Rangaroo a great call for Magcargo. And then, of course, everyone's going to be using Tapu Lele as they do at the moment. Post-rotation, probably the 2 best consistency cards are a Rangaroo and Tapu Lele, and that means that Alolan Muk can come in and block them both. Your opponent needs that Guzma to take the last prize. Well, they better have it in their hand, because they can't use a Tapu Lele. And anyone that's played a Rangaroo will know there's many games where you're digging, then you can draw 2 cards off a Rangaroo, desperately trying to get that last card to win the game. Not an option when Alolan Muk's on the field. Now, full disclosure, when we hit our November set Lost Thunder, you can expect to be seeing Zeb Striker, whose ability lets you discard your entire hand and draw 4 cards, and there's absolutely a possibility that that comes around and sees a huge amount of play, replaces a Rangaroo in a lot of decks, etc., and that is a stage 1. But that ain't till November. That's not going to be legal for tournament play until the 3rd Friday in November. I suppose if you really want an exact date, it's the 16th. So until we get to the 16th of November, you don't have the option of playing Zeb Striker. So on the one hand, Garbodor's rotating out, so this is pretty much the best ability lock we've got. I'm not buying stuff like Glaceon because it's got to be in the active. And on the second hand, you've got stuff like Octillery going away, meaning that the best consistency we've got is all going to be basic Pokemon, which really builds into Alolan Muk. But thirdly, we've got all the other stuff that ADVGYM pointed out in his tweet. Rayquaza is looking to be one of the best decks post-rotation. And I get it, right? You don't always want to use Rayquaza's ability. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck blindly and attach an energy from your discard to Rayquaza. You'd rather use Latias Prism Star. But some games you're going to be desperate for that energy. And it's worth discarding the top 3 cards of your deck because you know you're getting that extra energy and you know it'll get you a key KO. Not an option with Alolan Muk. How about Giratina? I have been absolutely gushing about the new Giratina. I did a video about it. I'll pop a link in the description. Long story short, if it's in the discard, you can put it onto your bench, and then you get to put 1 damage counter on each of 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. It's going to rule the expanded format, but it's going to be pretty good in standard as well. Well, that gets turned off by Alolan Muk. How about Dawnwing's Necrozma, which gets to jump into the active and stop you blocking your opponent by Guzma summoning into the active? Yeah, that's going to go away. Although admittedly Floatstone rotating does make that significantly worse. How about Hooper from Shining Legends? This is a deck that comes and goes, but it's a card that just blocks non-EXs, non-GXs. And there's plenty of decks like Rayquaza that just struggle against this because they don't have any great non-GXs. Well, 2 cards in your deck, Alolan Muk, as soon as you get Alolan Muk down, you get to smash Hooper, go right through it, and it's absolutely fine. How about Zeraora GX? It's got a great ability that gives your Pokemon free retreat if they've got lightning energy attached, i.e. just like Manaphy EX used to for water energy. That's going to be going away. How about Sigilyph GX? That's got the ability Mirror Counter. I should mention all of my Japanese translations here come from the lovely David Hockman over at limitlesstcg.com/translations, which if you do damage to it by an EX or a GX, you got to take the amount of damage you did onto the attacking Pokemon. It's getting a little bit silly. And then, of course, the last one ADVGYM brings up, which I think is another excellent point, Ditto Prism Star. Now, I've told you about Ditto Prism Star again. I've done a video. I'll link it in the description. Do always check the description of my videos because I'll always be linking essentially anything I talk about in one of my videos that you might want to go find more about. You're going to find the link in the description. Thing about Ditto Prism Star, it can evolve into any stage 1 Pokemon. which means it can be a huge surprise and it can take any deck that's played Stage 1 Pokemon to the next level. Whether it's being essentially a 5th route in a Gardevoir deck, or whether it's being a 5th Zorua in a Zoroark deck, or whether, and this could be a great use for it, you actually play 1 Ditto Prism Star, 1 Alolan Muk, and evolve Ditto into Alolan Muk to stop your opponent's Ditto Prism Star. It is a card which could provide some huge shocks next format, and Alolan Muk turns it off. Now, these are not the only basic Pokemon with abilities that we're going to be looking at next format and going, ah ha ha, now you can't do anything. They're arguably the most prominent, but they're certainly not all of them. I'll give you one more example. Diancie Prism Star, which, let's face it, all of these Buzzwole decks really like to do an extra 20 damage. Well, you're not gonna get that. Yes, there's plenty of Pokemon out there like Lycanroc GX Midnight Form and Zoroark GX that are evolved Pokemon, so you're not turning off their abilities with Alolan Muk. And at the moment, pre-rotation, fine. You can use that as an argument, but you can't use that argument post-rotation when Garbodor goes away. In Expanded, there's a big argument for Alolan Muk still turning off stuff like Giratina, so your opponent can't use a Field Blower to counter it. But I tell you what, it's looking very much next format like it's open for Alolan Muk. And I know I've said this before, and I meant it then, and I meant it now. I've given you my argument, ladies and gentlemen. I've explained to you why I believe that it's going to be the most impactful card post-rotation, or at least one of them. But I would love to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think about Alolan Muk. Tell me how much play you think it's going to see. Tell me other basic Pokemon that are going to be turned off by it. Tell me if you're going to play it. Go nuts, but remember the rule. I believe this very strongly. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.